Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CS Cyber. I'm Sean.
And I'm Chad.
And we've got a lot going on in the news, as there always is. And looks like Salt Typhoon and the telco issue is back up in the news.
Yeah, so they're talking about Salt Typhoon using Ghost Spider as a foothold. Is that what it's saying here?
Yes. There was a malware framework called Ghost Spider is what they used to gain their initial access, looks like.
Yeah, that's hit a lot of big ones. So Verizon, AT&T, Lumen, I think T-Mobile was wrapped up in that as well. So a lot. I mean, a lot of big carriers in that. So
right. So Ghost Spider is what they used for persistence, and that was the malware that was used to facilitate the data theft as well.
Yeah, but it's a big national security risk. I mean, that's like the backbone of really like our internet. I mean, think of how many people use mobile devices just to connect, right? I mean, all of those communications that go over there. I mean,
yeah, I think the big thing too here is how do we get them out of there? So I think that's a lot of what isn't talked about nowadays. Once these threat operators get inside these telecommunication networks, what is the process to eradicate that? And that was some of the questions that we had, or that I had, during the SolarWinds incident. If Russian threat actors were able to embed themselves deep inside these government networks, nobody's ever talked about or issued any type of document saying, yeah, we found all of the Russian artifacts and their fingerprints and we were able to kick them out of our network. So I'm going to guess that Ghost Spider is still inside these telecommunication networks because once they get persistence, they kind of root themselves in.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, just think of how like expansive and massive these networks are, right? I mean, they just kind of hide and kind of disappear. I mean, have you ever read that book? It was actually a book by Kevin Mitnick. It was called Ghost in the Wires. No. Really interesting book. It's talking about how he hacked the AT&T network with like the Captain Crunch whistle back in the day. Really interesting network, yeah. So he actually, Kevin Mitnick, he went to jail for a while.
He did go to jail.
Yeah, but...
No, I never heard that one.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just really kind of crazy story. So, but yeah, I mean, these networks are so big, you can just kind of get into them and kind of vanish.
Right.
So...
Well, we're usually not talking to telecommunication providers on this show, but hey, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, if you guys are listening, update your stuff, get better logging, and let's get some multi-factor authentication on some of those internal systems. So, all right. So what's the next one? So I guess
this wasn't really security related, I don't think, but it had a huge impact across the globe, I think. So
it did.
This week's Microsoft's outage, Outlook and Teams outage.
Yeah, that was on the 25th of November.
How long did that go on? You were counting down. Like,
it was like 18 hours or something because it had started in the middle of the night on Monday, the 25th. And I know I was going to bed at 8 o'clock last night, and they said they were about 3 hours away from fixing it. So there was... They were rebooting stuff. There was all kinds of stuff going on, and apparently it was a misconfiguration to the WAN, the Microsoft WAN, is what it says.
Yeah, but I didn't realize this is their second outage in November?
Yeah, there was, I don't know if it's the second one in November, is it? Because there was a big one in June or July.
No, the article said this is the second outage in November, raising questions about reliability of Microsoft's updates. So I'm like,
Yeah. So, this is a reason why we have a backup plan here at Secure Cyber. So we fell back to our Signal group that we use for offline communications or out-of-band communications. So we just kind of reverted to that, but it seriously impacted the whole day. I was not able to get a lot of what I needed done because nothing was working.
Right. It was a pain point. I didn't realize how much I rely on the Outlook search function.
Yeah.
Like that was not working yesterday, and I'm
correct.
Like, I can't find anything. Where's all the emails?
Yeah, search wasn't working. Browser the Outlook plugins weren't working. It was bad.
Yeah, but it's just crazy. I mean, how many people rely on like ginormous services like that, right? So
a lot of people, except for all the Google people, were sitting around enjoying the day.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
No.
All right.
They weren't sending emails to any Microsoft people.
Yeah, no, that's correct. All right, so Meta is making a move to help with the pig butchering piece.
Yeah,
that's good.
I couldn't believe this. So Meta removes over 2 million accounts pushing pig butchering scams.
Yeah, that's crazy.
2 million accounts?
Well, one, I'd like to know how they got the information to identify those 2 million. That would be very interesting. To bring everyone up to speed, pig butchering is a term for a scam. It's a cybercrime scam and a tactic that involves a lot of social engineering, trying to get people to invest in a fraudulent investment scheme.
Yeah,
is probably the best way to put that.
Right, and people fall for this all the time. I mean, it's older people fall for this. I think they're probably the demographic that falls for it the most often. But it's really impactful. I mean, people have lost their life savings. I've heard stories. I mean, if you listen, I think they did a lot of that on Darknet Diaries.
They did. There's been some. Yesterday, I was on Facebook, and I think it was Volusia County, Florida. They had captured a guy who had scammed an elderly person out of $600,000 in a sort of pig butchering way. It was awful, but they arrested him.
Yeah. Well, so Meta's saying here that they employed AI-driven tools to identify and prevent scam activities on the platform. So maybe that's how they identified some of these accounts.
That's cool. Well, the best way we can get around this too is just really educating the public on pig butchering and what to look for. I know that's something that our nonprofit, the Go Cyber Collective, is working on. John Seibel is working on developing curriculum so that we can use the nonprofit and our membership to get more information out. Things like just being aware on social media. This isn't really something where multi-factor authentication is going to help you. So just education is probably the biggest thing that can be done.
Yeah, it's like one of those things, if it's too good to be true.
Yeah, it probably is. Right.
Yeah. But I think, this is really just the tip of the iceberg. I see this on LinkedIn. I see it on Instagram. I mean, this is just one platform of many where I'm sure this is occurring.
All right, let's talk about SCADA.
So my SCADA, my Pro Systems, vulnerability allows remote hacking. And I didn't realize, I think we were just kind of talking about this, like there is a lot of SCADA vendors out there.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show. There's a lot of bigger ones out there, right? You've got VT SCADA, you've got Factory Talk, and then there's a lot of like little SCADA vendors out there. My SCADA is an example of one of them. So probably the biggest thing that's not done here is patching. Right, this is 100% a patching issue.
Yep, you got to patch the software, and I think one of the biggest things I see in like the industrial control systems we've talked about before is like, who has this? Who is going to do this? Is it the water guys? Is it the oversight? Is it the SCADA vendor? Like,
yeah,
who is watching this and knows that these patches came out?
That's a good question, and that's more it's a governance conversation that we try and have with organizations and. We're trying. I'm in the process of writing an educational course for water operators to help try and address some of this. So I think the sooner that we can talk to the operators and identify to them that this is a void, then we can start facilitating conversations so that they can reach out to their IT folks and say, "Hey, I need help identifying," because everybody thinks this stuff is a closed network, and they don't take this stuff seriously. I really don't think there's a lot of active patching going on because they go, "Oh, it's a closed network. It's a closed network." It's not closed, and there's always an entry point. Somebody can just walk something into this network and plug a USB stick in, and it's there.
Yeah, agreed. I think we've identified that as a pretty big gap between the technology and the actual water operators.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think that'll be a great course.
All right, Fortinet's back in the news with a VPN design flaw.
Yeah, so not a patch, not a
right,
a design flaw, right? So I think what's happening here is the VPN appliance is not logging successful logons.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. So Fortinet has said that this is something that they'll take into consideration in future operating system updates, the FortiOS. But for right now, this is a great opportunity for you to monitor your logging for unusual behavior. So start to become familiar with what normal looks like on your network.
Yeah,
definitely. All right. I think that's all we have for this week. So, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We will be back next week with another episode. But for right now, I'm Sean.
I'm Chad.
And thanks for watching.